Sandy, listen, the man is just about to say it.
Yeah, let's everybody listen.
The USA Radio Network presents the greatest radio programs of all time.
Henry Aldrich. Coming, Mother.
The CBS Radio Workshop, dedicated to man's imagination, the theater of the mind.
This is classic radio theater.
Want to get away from it all?
The FBI in Peace and War.
Fibber, McGee, and Molly.
The unexpected.
The unexpected.
The unexpected.
Now here's your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends.
Well, we close out this Independence Day weekend with an episode of Father Knows Best, their last show of their 1950-51 season from July 5th, 1951, as they discuss the meaning of freedom. And we thank you for tuning in on this Monday of Independence Day weekend, the 5th day of July, 186th day of 2021, 179 days remaining in the year. Salvation Army formed on this date in 1865 in London. In 1946, Larry Doby signed with the Cleveland Indians. Why is that significant? Larry Doby was the first African-American player in the American League. The bikini swimsuit made its debut at a Paris fashion show on this date in 1946. And it was on this date in 1954. Elvis Presley recorded That's All Right, his first commercial record. Tell us about it, Elvis.
I went into Sun Records, and there was a guy in there that took down my name, told me he might call me sometime. So he called me about a year and a half later. And I went in and I made my first record.
And that first record was That's All Right. Elvis's first record recorded on this date in 1954. The James Bond film Live and Let Die premiered on this date in 1973, the first Bond film to star Roger Moore as 007. In 1975, Arthur Ashe became the first African-American to win a Wimbledon singles title when he defeated Jimmy Connors. Dolly, the first sheep cloned from adult cells, born in 1996. And it was 5 years ago today, 2016, the Juno space probe arrived at Jupiter and began a 20-month survey of the planet. Now, among those passing away on this date in history, Harry James, the fine trumpet player, Ernie K. Doe, mother-in-law, and baseball great Ted Williams. This is the birth date of Phineas Taylor Barnum, the circus owner. There was a sucker born every minute. Also, a couple of fine actors. Milburn Stone, he was Doc on the Gunsmoke television series. Also, actor Warren Oates. From Soap, Katherine Hellman, who passed away in 2019 at the age of 89. And actress Shirley Knight, who passed away this last year at the age of 83. The guitarist for the band, Robbie Robertson, is 78. Judge Joe Brown, 74 years old. Musician Huey Lewis of Huey Lewis and the News, who has had several health issues, including hearing problems, and we wish him all the best, but he's still around at 71. From Oz and the Sopranos, Edie Falco is 58. From Law & Order Criminal Intent and Oz, Catherine Urbe is 56. He was the singer with the Irish boy band Westlife. Shane Fillon is 42. And Adam Cole, Bebe, from NXT, is 32. Those are just a few of the people who celebrate the 5th day of July as their birthday. And if this happens to be your birthday...
Hi, we're the Four Freshmen, and we just want to say... Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you.
And as we close out this Independence Day weekend, We go back 70 years to July 5th, 1951, the last show of their second season of Father Knows Best, starring Robert Young, July 5th, 1951, on this Monday edition of Classic Radio Theater.
Let's see, if something costs less, but people are happier with it, that sounds like something to look into, and that's Medi-Share. Maybe you've heard switching to Medi-Share to pay for healthcare can save the typical family $500 a month, and that's huge, but it's also true that people are way more satisfied after making the switch, too. The customer satisfaction rate for Medi-Share is double that of the typical health insurance plan. Double. Medi-Share works. It's been around for more than a quarter century, and members have shared more than $3 billion of each other's bills. People love having telehealth and a huge nationwide PPO network. So, yeah, you can save a ton and like it better. Imagine being happy with how you're taking care of your health care. So if you're self-employed or part of the gig economy, or you just want a plan you're happy with, you can call right now and get a price within 2 minutes. A very, very smart use of 2 minutes. Here's the number you need. 833-34-BIBLE. That's 833-34-BIBLE. 833-34-BIBLE.
Classic Radio Theater friends, my feet always hurt. They really do. And if your feet hurt, can I make a suggestion to try Mike Lindell's My Slippers? They are probably the most comfortable things I've had on my feet in years. But they're more than just a bedroom slipper, an indoor-outdoor slipper with 3-tiered cushioning system that combines 2 layers of this foam with a patented impact gel to keep you from ever wanting to take them off. They're beautifully finished with leather, suede, faux fur linings, indoor-outdoor, so you can wear them anywhere. And Mike guarantees these will be the most comfortable things you'll ever put on your feet, or you'll get your money back. 60-day money-back guarantee, 1-year limited warranty. You can save 40% when you go to MyPillow.com. Click on the radio listener square, use my promo code USA, or call 1-800-951-8175. Mike Lindell's My Slippers will be the best thing you ever put on your feet, or you'll get your money back.
My doctor prescribed me Viagra. It wasn't covered by my insurance, so it was costing me like $65 a pill. That's expensive.
Over 20 million guys like us use Viagra. Over a certain age, we just need it. I found a way to pay less than $3 a pill and get virtually the same effect of the $65 pill. I heard an ad just like this on the radio, called, and for $99, I got 40 generic versions of the $65 pill. Save yourself money and call right now and get over 40 pills for $99. There's no embarrassment here to use Viagra. If we're over 50, we need it, but not at high prices. Call now with your credit card and get the 40 pill special for just $99.
800-993-1358. 800-993-1358. That's 800-993-1358.
Classic Radio Theater on your favorite station. I know a lot of you are not used to hearing the show because we're on the day, and a lot of places are observing today as Independence Day for their business. So a lot of radio stations might be carrying us. And I want to tell you, here's what you need to know. If you are used to the television show of Father Knows Best, it's not the same show. Well, it kind of is the same show. You know, you still have Robert Young playing Jim Anderson, the insurance agent. And, you know, you have Margaret and Betty and Bud and little Kathy. But, and the show ran for 4 years, 4 seasons on radio. But it's a different show because Jim is more sarcastic and much more of a tyrannical type of character. And it's not at all like the radio show. The television show is a much kinder, gentler show. And so if that's what you're expecting during this hour, well, you know, just sit back and enjoy. And we'll talk about it if we have time some more. Anyway, Father Knows Best, as it was originally broadcast on July 5th, 1951.
Mother, is Maxwell House really the only coffee in the world?
Well, your father says so, and your father knows best.
Yes, it's Father Knows Best, transcribed in Hollywood, starring Robert Young as father. A half-hour visit with your neighbors, the Andersons. Brought to you by America's favorite coffee, Maxwell House. The coffee that's always good to the last drop. Be it ever so peaceful and ever so fair, be the sun shining bright at your door, there's nothing so sad or so full of despair as the morning after the night before. It's breakfast time in Springfield, and in the white frame house on Maple Street, all is not well. The 4th of July was a big day for the Andersons, but not as big as it might have been. That's why, on the 5th of July, the family goes to work on the greatest fall guy the world has ever known. Poor old father. Like this.
But you said we weren't allowed to shoot off firecrackers.
That's right.
Well, Jimmy Woody had firecrackers and he shot them off.
Kathy, I've told you a dozen times, shooting off firecrackers is against the law.
They shot them off in the park.
You eat your breakfast.
Well, didn't they? Betty, do as your father tells you.
Can I even talk?
Eat your breakfast, dear.
Jumping creepers. Everybody else got to shoot off firecrackers except me. I never get to do nothing.
You never get to do anything.
You said it. Everybody else.
Kathy, for the 10 millionth time, the use of firecrackers within the city limits of Springfield is illegal.
Then why did they shoot them off in the park?
Because that was a fireworks display. It's entirely different.
Mom, I can't find my other shoe.
Look under your bed, dear.
I did look. Never mind. I found it.
Bud, hurry up or you won't get any breakfast at all.
Okay, Dad.
Couldn't find his ears if they weren't fastened on.
Why are you shooting firecrackers in the park different?
Because it was part of the city's celebration. That's why.
Jimmy Woody shot off firecrackers, and I'm as much a part of the city as he is.
Kathy.
His father didn't tell him it was different.
Margaret, may I please have my coffee?
Of course, dear.
Every time somebody does something and I can't, it's different.
There you are.
Thank you.
Everybody gets a bigger allowance than I do, but it's different.
Kathy, in just about 1 minute...
I have to go to bed when it isn't even dark, but that's different, too.
Margaret, will you please tell her to be quiet?
People don't even like me around here. I'm going to join the wax. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show the whole bunch
Kathy,
of you.
be quiet.
But why can everybody else?
Eat your breakfast.
Gee whiz.
I don't know what she's got to complain about. I was the only girl at the whole dance who had shoulder straps on her dress.
Now, don't you start.
Father, if you just wouldn't be so old-fashioned.
I am not old-fashioned, but I will not have my daughter traipsing around in a dress that's held up by nothing but a prayer and a city ordinance.
Jim, there's really no reason why.
Well, for the love of... Margaret, one of these days, that boy's going right through the stairs, so help me.
I don't think so, dear, but I'll speak to him again.
It's like living in a house with a bull rhinoceros.
Good morning, everybody. What's cooking?
Father is. Betty, please.
Bud, is there any reason why you can't come down the stairs like a normal human being?
How do they do it?
They walk.
That's what I did.
You... May I have the cream and sugar, please?
Oh, here you are, dear.
Thank you.
Nobody even cares if kids have fun on the 4th of July.
Dad. Kathy, let me explain it to you once more. The reason children are not permitted to have firecrackers is a very simple one.
They don't want us to have any fun.
They don't want you to get hurt.
Dad.
Jimmy Woody had firecrackers and he didn't get hurt.
Good.
He only got 3 little blisters.
Fine.
On each hand.
Dad.
What is it, Bud?
Do you know how old Jerry Wilson is?
87?
He's 12.
Well, he certainly had me fooled.
Would you care for some more toast, dear?
No, thank you. This will be fine.
And his father bought him a gasoline scooter.
Bud.
I'm 15, and I had to go to the picnic on a bicycle.
How would you like to wear an evening gown with shoulder straps?
I don't even like the 4th of July. I never saw such an awful day in my whole life.
Well, you all had a pretty miserable time yesterday, didn't you?
Well, gosh, Dad, if a 12-year-old kid can have a gasoline
You had
scooter...
nothing on your busy little minds but firecrackers and shoulder straps and gasoline scooters. Important things like that.
Father.
Nobody thought about the 4th of July, what it means, what it is. When I was a boy, the biggest thrill of the year was raising the American flag on Independence Day. But you were busy with more important things. Maybe that's the trouble with a lot of people in this country. They haven't the time to honor their flag or think of what it means to them as individuals, as a people.
Holy cow, Dad.
Be quiet, Bud, and listen.
Yes, ma'am.
We've all lost sight of the fact that the freedoms we take so much for granted, the right to speak our minds, the right to live as we choose, weren't always ours. Less than 200 years ago, our ancestors had to fight for them. And they didn't intend that Independence Day should be spent killing one another on the highways or blowing ourselves to bits with firecrackers. They fought, and some of them died, to give us freedom. And now we've forgotten them.
Father, we know all about Thomas Jefferson and Benjamin Franklin.
I know about George Washington.
I don't mean people like that, kitten. I mean plain, ordinary people like ourselves. The families of merchants and lawyers and hard-working farmers. Those are the people we've forgotten. The people who fashioned a whole new nation out of blood and tears and gossamer dreams. You know, 175 years ago, there was no United States of America. There was only a feeling of great unrest and resentment among the American people. In the larger cities, Boston, Philadelphia, New York, there was a sort of seething tension in the streets, in the coffee shops, everywhere. But life went on. People lived as they must always live.
But, Mama, I don't like cornmeal mush.
It's very good for you, Kathleen.
All I ever get is cornmeal mush.
We'll have no arguments, child. Eat your breakfast and be quiet.
Yes, Papa.
Father.
Betsy, this is hardly the time to interrupt your father.
But, Mother.
Later, dear, please.
I'm quite finished with my newspaper. May I have my coffee, please?
Yes, dear. I hope I roasted the beans long enough this time.
I'm sure you did, my dear. Thank you.
James.
Margaret, if you and Betsy intend to speak of that dress again, may I warn you now that you are wasting your breath.
Father, the widow Southgate says there's a latest style, and if only you weren't so old-fashioned.
I am not old-fashioned. I pride myself on being as modern and as well-informed as these changing times allow. But I will not permit a daughter of mine to risk the vapors in a low-cut bodice.
Dear, the widow Southgate tells me...
Mother! Jamie, how many times have you been told not to shout from the top of the stair?
But I can't find the buckle for my other shoe.
Margaret, will you please instruct your son?
Jamie, have you looked under your bedstead?
Yes, ma'am, I've looked. Never mind, it was inside of the shoe.
I'm very concerned about that young man.
James, he's only a boy.
He's 15 years old and preparing to enter the university. How can he expect to make his way in the world if he can't keep track of his shoe buckles?
Mother, you were going to tell Father what the widow Southgate said.
Well...
Margaret, I have told you repeatedly that we cannot do business with the widow Southgate.
But, James, I've known Amanda Southgate all my life.
She has been denied a permit under the terms of the Lord North Restraining Act. And as an attorney sworn to uphold the law, I cannot permit you to trade with her establishment.
James, you know as well as I that the law is unjust.
We have already taken steps to ask that it be changed.
As you've asked that other laws be changed, as you've pleaded for representation in the government of the colonies, as you've asked...
Margaret...
When will you stop asking? When will you demand that we be heard?
When we have exhausted every peaceful method of petition. When we know deep in our hearts that the last stone has been turned. Jamie! Jamie! Madam, something must be done about the manner in which your son defies the laws of gravity.
Has Parliament passed a law about that, too?
Good morning. I trust everyone is well.
Good morning,
Brother.
Jamie,
Yes, Father?
What are you trying to establish in this constant attack on a perfectly innocent staircase?
I
presume that was you descending the stair. Or was it a band of horsemen pursuing a wild boar through our sitting room?
Father, I'm certainly glad you mentioned it. Do you know Jeremiah Wilson?
Did I mention Jeremiah Wilson?
No, but he's only 12, and his father bought him his own horse.
Jamie.
I'm 3 years older than he is, and do I have a horse? I have to walk to school.
Jamie.
And that's a long walk, 8 squares, and everybody else in the whole school.
Jamie.
Yes, sir?
A boy who cannot keep track of his shoe buckles cannot be entrusted with his own horse.
How can you misplace a horse?
If there were a way, you'd manage.
Betsy, no one asked for your opinion.
I didn't say anything, did I, Mama?
No, Kathleen.
I've been very good, haven't I, Mama?
Yes, Kathleen.
Do I still have to eat my cornmeal mush, Mama?
Yes, Kathleen.
Gee willikins.
Jamie, the front door.
Nobody's afraid that I'll misplace the front door. I could close my eyes and find the front door in the dark.
I don't know. When I was a boy, my father never permitted this turbulence at his breakfast table. Breakfast was a quiet meal, peaceful and calm. There was none of this excitement and confusion. Everything was well ordered and contained. Everything...
Mother, it's Mistress Smith.
Elizabeth! Oh, Margaret, you've got to help me. We're in the most terrible trouble.
Girls, perhaps you'd best go outdoors and take your brother with you.
But I haven't finished my mush.
Go along, Kathleen.
Good day, Mr. Smith. Come along, Katie.
Don't call me Katie.
Now, Elizabeth?
Oh, I'm just beside myself. Nothing like this has ever happened in the entire history of our family.
Elizabeth, may I suggest that you calm yourself?
You. The entire affair is your fault.
My fault?
Elizabeth! You were the one who put him up to it. You were the one who told him not to pay his taxes.
You mean Hector, I presume?
My husband. If only he hadn't listened to you.
Elizabeth, I assure you...
You gave him those articles on freedom. You explained to him that the Sugar and Molasses Act was illegal. You told him to petition the repeal of the Restraining Act. You told him all...
What I told Hector was true. The advice I gave him was sound. Our petitions are valid. Our protests are impeccable. If we stand united, no one can be punished.
No? Then why is Hector in jail?
Oh, Jane.
Life in 1776, as portrayed on Father Knows Best, July 5th, 1951. I'm Wyatt Cox. Thank you for tuning into Classic Radio Theater on this Independence Day weekend here on your favorite station. And we'll continue our Monday edition here with the news of the date from 70 years ago and the conclusion of Father Knows Best. Thanks for tuning in. Classic Radio Theater friends, my feet hurt. They have hurt for a long time. I have suffered from diabetic neuropathy for some time, and as such, my feet tend to swell. And it's difficult for me to get comfortable. I get some good shoes, and they try to help, but nothing has helped my feet feel better since Mike Lindell sent me a pair of my slippers. Now, don't let the name fool you. These are not something you just wear in the bedroom. You can wear these anywhere. The MyPillow slippers have an indoor-outdoor sole and 3 levels of cushioning. This 3-tier cushioning system includes MyPillow patented fill, their proprietary foam that you know and love. It creates a solid layer to provide very comfortable support. Comfortable memory foam, and patented impact gel made from American soybeans. It's revolutionary in absorbing impact and relieving pressure. It's finished with high-quality leather suede made from U.S. cowhides. They are comfortable, cozy, and a cozy faux fur lining to make your feet feel warm and comfortable in the winter and make you feel relieved in the summer. 60-day money-back guarantee. 1-year limited warranty. Mike Lindell guarantees you'll like them or you'll get your money back. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the Radio Listeners Square, use my promo code USA, or call 1-800-951-8175. 2 different varieties, slip-ons or moccasin style. You will love these MyPillow, My Slippers. Mike Lindell has done it again. If you have trouble walking, if your feet don't feel like right, get My Slippers from Mike Lindell. MyPillow.com, promo code USA. And thanks for tuning in on this Monday edition of Classic Radio Theater, and we are listening to an episode this hour of Father Knows Best, the last show of the 1950-51 season, as it was originally broadcast on Thursday, July 5th, 1951. In the newspapers of that Thursday, 70 years ago, these were some of the headlines. President Truman said last night that victory may be won in Korea, but warned Americans to keep their powder dry because the threat of Soviet aggression still hangs heavy over many a country, including our own. In a nationwide Independence Day speech broadcast from the grounds of the Washington Monument, the chief executive said it is still too early to be sure that the communists sincerely want a Korean armistice. Quoting, "It may be that they have decided to give up their aggression. If that is true, the road is open to a peaceful settlement, and General Matthew B. Ridgway's forces may have won a victory that may well prove to be a turning point in world history." But Truman cautioning Americans to remain vigilant and be ready for whatever may come. General Matthew B. Ridgway and the Chinese and North Korean Communist military leaders agreed to hold initial ceasefire talks next Sunday at Kaesong, just south of the 38th parallel. Ridgway broadcast a reply to North Korean Premier Kim Il-sung and Chinese General Peng Teng-hwa, accepting their request that the preliminary talks begin July 8th instead of earlier, as suggested by the UN commander. The Russians consented unexpectedly last night to 4-power trade talks in Berlin for the first time in 2 years. The Russian acceptance came just a few hours after communists had announced readiness to meet General Ridgway's representatives to discuss a Korean ceasefire. Ally officials surmised that the same push button dictated both actions. Red Czechoslovakia sentenced William N. Otis to 10 years in prison yesterday on the charge that he spied out state secrets while doing his job as an Associated Press correspondent behind the Iron Curtain. The 5-man state court, which read out the sentence in Prague's Panrak prison after a 2-day trial, said 5 years of the sentence will be suspended for good behavior. In this language of the Western Court, this would mean Otis would have to serve but 5 years and would be on probation for the 5 remaining years. The Czech sentence could mean possible time off for good behavior in prison. Mobilization Director Charles E. Wilson declared yesterday that the 3-year defense program must and will continue whether or not the fighting stops in Korea. It must be backed, he said, with vigorous price controls, rollbacks, and stiff taxes. Wilson notified the President and Congress in his second quarterly report that the first goal, 3.5 men under arms, has almost been reached. Munitions deliveries have risen threefold in the year since the communist invasion of Korea, he reported, and despite present lags in tanks and aircraft, they will triple again in the next year. But industry still is only tooling up for the massive arms production job ahead, the mobilizer said. He warned of the hazard of inflation makes it vital that Congress restore the power to roll back prices. The Army said Tuesday night 2 employees of the Birmingham Ordnance District who had been suspended during an investigation of defense contracts with the Elvar Corporation have been cleared and reinstated in their positions. And the bullfrogs of Virginia's Rush River are going to be spared because they croak in unison in the key of C sharp. William Hacker, musical director of the Blue Ridge Mountain Festival, says the music festival will be held in August at historic Washington, Virginia, in a natural outdoor theater on the banks of the Rush River. Hacker, the conductor of the Virginia Symphony Orchestra at Richmond, visited the festival site with a view to employing small boys to clear out the noisy frogs. He said the frogs were silent until the piano on the amphitheater stage was played, and the frogs then burst out into full-throated song. Hacker said, I noticed that every time their leader or leaders croaked, he or they hit C-sharp right on the nose. The result was so pleasing, we're going to make it part of the program. Washington, 60 miles southwest of the national capital, 23 miles west of Warrington, and George Washington surveyed the town site in his first job as a surveyor. And those some of the day's top news stories as reported in the newspapers of Thursday, July 5th, 1951, on your radio 70 years ago. Father Knows Best, the conclusion of which you hear next on this Monday, Classic Radio Theater. Friends, Laura Leibowitz at the International Jack Benny Fan Club is conducting a fundraiser to purchase the Maxwell that Jack rode in many movies for the fan club. Now, the International Jack Benny Fan Club is a 501c3 not-for-profit. Your donations are tax-deductible. Help preserve a slice of Jack Benny history by going online to their website, jackbenny.org. That's jackbenny.org, and help preserve the real-life Maxwell. If you enjoy our Classic Radio Theater broadcasts and want to start building a collection of your own, go to classicradio.stream. That's classicradio.stream. There you'll find links to great classic radio collections on CD, along with links to great reading on classic radio, plus Classic Radio Theater on demand. Check out our webpage, available now at classicradio.stream. That's classicradio.stream. And enjoy.
Attention businesses of all sizes affected by COVID-19. The federal government has introduced the Employee Retention Credit. It's a new relief program that allows you to collect up to $14,000 per employee. If your business was forced to close due to COVID-19, or you lost 20% or more of your sales, you may qualify for free financial relief. There's no limit to the amount you can file for, and you don't have to pay the money back. Call the ERC program experts today. They'll explain to you how much you qualify for and how fast the funds can be in your business bank account. To find out if you qualify for the ERC program, call the IPG Law Group right now for details. There's no upfront cost to you, and you could receive up to $14,000 per employee. Call right now for details. 800-932-5197. 800-932-5197. 800-932-5197. That's 800-932-5197.
Oh, come on, I hate you. You have no right to speak to me. You're stupid. You're evil. You believe in your God, guns, and gold. You shouldn't have the right to vote. We must fix this disgusting country now. We want socialism now.
Whoa there, little fella. Our U.S. Constitution protects your right to say these things, even if they are drivel.
Our founders believed in our inalienable rights granted by God, not some mafia. Our Bill of Rights protects your personal freedoms, your absolute right to speak to others, whether loving and kind or hateful and stupid.
Utopia doesn't exist. It only destroys. Millions of innocents slaughtered by the communists in Cambodia, China, and the Union of Soviet Socialist Republics.
And millions of people were gassed by Hitler's National Socialist Party.
Where do you stand? Help us save the Constitution and restore our American dream. Go to SaveMyFreedom.com. That's SaveMyFreedom.com.
Brought to you by the American Media Council.
On Tuesday's Classic Radio Theater, an episode of The Mysterious Traveler from July 6, 1948, 73 years ago today, The Man Who Vanished. An albino discovers the secret of invisibility and promptly commits a murder. That will be on Tuesday's Classic Radio Theater. But right now, the conclusion of Father Knows Best from 70 years ago, July 5th, 1951.
It's moments later in the white frame house on Maple Street. But the Andersons aren't conscious of time. They've been swept back to the days of the American Revolution, to the story of a family much like their own. They've moved through the streets of an early American city, through the doors of the Court of Justice, and there they sit quietly, patiently, while an 18th century Anderson prepares to defend the rights of his friend Hector Smith. Like this. Hector, you must be truthful with me. Did you say anything more?
Jim, I take my oath. I told the man just what you told me to, that I was not going to pay taxes unless I had a voice in my own government.
And naturally, you had to say it to a man who was a representative of the king.
Elizabeth, how was I supposed to know
My husband. Thousands of people in the city, and he has to argue with tax collectors.
Elizabeth, I'm sure it isn't as bad as you fancy. Is it, James?
I don't know, Margaret. In these affairs, one can never be sure.
Oh, the disgrace. That I, a Stuyvesant on my mother's side, should live to see the day that my own husband...
The court will rise. Margaret.
Yes, dear.
They're about to begin. Why don't you take Elizabeth to a seat?
All right, James. Come along, dear. We'll find a comfortable bed.
If only he wouldn't argue with people. If only he would listen to me.
The Crown calls Hector Smith.
Jim, maybe if I plead guilty, they'll give me a lighter fine.
You can't plead guilty, Hector. The tax is unjust, and we must prove it so. May it please your lordship. Are you Hector Smith? I am James Anderson, your lordship, a solicitor engaged by Hector Smith for his defense. Well, step forward. Don't stand there. Yes, my lord.
Jim, why don't you ask him?
Please, Hector, not yet. The bailiff will read the charge against the prisoner.
May it please your worship.
Silence, Hector. Please be quiet. The bailiff will proceed. Hector Smith, territorial colonist, is hereby charged by the Crown with failure to pay his just taxes under Section 7 of the Act governing the sale of sugar and molasses. How do you plead?
Your worship.
May it please your lordship, this is not a proper charge, and a plea cannot therefore be entered. Not proper? Ridiculous. I drew the charge myself. Your lordship, I insist that the prisoner plead. Is he guilty or not guilty? Is he guilty or not guilty of what, my lord? Of not paying his taxes? Yes, of this he is guilty, but these taxes are levied without reason. They are an affront to the principles of justice and democracy. Mr. Anderson, I like not your tone. Nor I a court where the magistrate draws the charges.
Jim, they'll wind up by hanging me.
Hector, will you please stop worrying? May I remind the solicitor that he does his client a disservice by such outbursts? I ask your lordship's pardon. It shall not happen again. Very well. I shall ask once more. How does the prisoner plead? He pleads not guilty, your lordship, and a host of citizens stand firm at his side. Nowhere in the history of government. The prisoner will rise. If it please your lordship, the prisoner will rise. Hector Smith.
Yes, your worship.
I find you guilty as charged. But your lordship, you will serve 18 months at hard labor, and your property is confiscated to the Crown. Remove the prisoner. This is infamous, your lordship. Parliament has agreed to consider our problem. Mr. Anderson, we have no time for such trifles. Trifles? Since when is a man's freedom a trifle? Our courts are cluttered with this colonial rabble. Be satisfied that I did not order him hanged. Your lordship.
Jim, don't risk your own neck.
I have a right to speak. I order you to be silent. And I demand that I be heard. Bailiff, we have all been silent too long. We've asked only a voice in our own government, and to no avail. Now we shall speak with a voice of liberty and justice. We shall raise a cry of freedom that will echo through the hearts of all mankind. This is treason. This is truth. The God who gave us life gave us liberty as well. We are free men endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. And among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The militia!
Jim, it's come. It's here.
Bailiff, at last it's here. The final word has been said. The final stone has been turned. Bailiff! He's gone, my lord. And gone is tyranny. Gone is oppression. Gone is the iron heel that ground justice into the dust. We are aflame, my lord. The torch of freedom is lit at last. And just as soon will be snuffed out. They'll shoot you down as they did in Boston. Let them shoot, my lord. We are patriots, and our blood will nourish the streets and meadows and wooded hills. Our bones will bleach in the summer sun and chill in the winter snow. But if one man survives, he will be free. From his sinews will come a new race of men. From his heart will come a new life. Through him we shall build a new nation in which our children will live without fear, in which justice and freedom will prevail. Through him will be born a new world. America.
Golly, did that happen on the 4th of July?
Well, not exactly, Kitten. That sort of thing went on for years, all over the colonies.
Well, what did happen on the 4th of July?
Oh, are you a dope? They signed the Declaration of Independence.
But I wish you wouldn't speak to Kathy that way.
But how can she be so dumb?
All right, genius. Who signed it?
What?
Who signed the Declaration of Independence?
Oh, gosh. Practically everybody.
Bud, the Declaration of Independence was signed by 56 men.
Well, that's a lot, isn't it?
Daddy,
Yes, Kathleen.
there's only one thing I don't understand. What's so wonderful about the Declaration of Independence?
He'll tell you some other time, dear.
Margaret, if you don't mind, I'd just as soon tell her now.
While he's in the groove.
While I have all three of my knot-headed children in a listening mood.
What did I do?
Not a thing. And let's keep it that way.
Jim, if you're going to tell them...
All right, honey. The Declaration of Independence was written not to point out new principles or new arguments or even to say things which had never been said before, but to put before the people of the world an announcement of the fact that the American people considered themselves from that day forward an independent nation. Do you understand that?
Oh, sure.
Dear, she didn't understand one word you said.
Of course she did.
Maybe she did, but I sure didn't.
Well, I couldn't have made it clearer. You understood me, didn't you, Bud?
Yes, sir. Well, I promised Joe I'd help him do something.
What did I say?
About what?
The Declaration of Independence.
You mean the whole thing?
Or any small portion thereof.
This is going to be good.
Well, you said that the Declaration of Independence was important because it told everybody that on the 4th of July, 56 fellas got together and, well, anyway, it's the birthday of the United States. That's the important part.
Oh, that's what it is.
Well, you could put it that way. And you know, come to think of it, isn't it strange that no one ever gives the country a birthday present?
Jim, really?
I mean it, honey. Everybody else gets them.
Father, if you'll buy the wool, I'll knit the country a pair of Argyles.
Take her up on it, Dad.
How will she know what size?
That was a joke, dear.
Another one?
I'm being very serious.
Father, you're not.
I certainly am. We have the good fortune to live in the greatest country in the entire world. A country that has given us blessings far richer than we know. Our country has given us a heritage of freedom. Freedom of speech, freedom from want, freedom from fear, freedom to worship in any church we may choose. It gathered us, all sorts of Americans, from the far-flung corners of the earth and made for us a home. Give me your tired, your poor, it said, your huddled masses yearning to breathe free, the wretched refuse of your teeming shore. Send these, the homeless tempest-tossed, to me. I lift my lamp beside the golden door. Our country has a birthday every year, celebrated on the 4th of July, and all of us, no matter how rich or how poor, can afford the only gift it wants, a pledge of undying loyalty and devotion, a vow that in the year ahead we'll remember and observe the simple principles of democracy, a promise that, to the best of our ability, we'll live as Americans. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Robert Young. Tonight, Father Knows Best brings to a close its second season of broadcasts, and all of us will leave on our annual vacations. Before we go, however, the members of my radio family have asked permission to say their individual goodbyes. Being an indulgent husband and father, quite naturally, I had to agree. So, here they are. June Whitley.
I hope you have a very nice summer, and be sure to come back with us in the fall, won't you? Goodbye.
Rhoda Williams.
Goodbye, goodbye. Parting is such sweet sorrow that I shall say goodbye till it be morrow and have a real keen summer, gang.
Norma Jean Nilsson.
We're going up to Round Lake again, and they've got boats and docks to jump off, and you can go swimming and fishing. And this year I'm going to collect things like snakes and bullfrogs.
Kathy.
And if any of you come up to the lake, my mother's a wonderful cook, and she'll be only too happy. Did I say something wrong?
You're supposed to say goodbye.
That's what I was doing.
Well, say it.
Gee whiz. Goodbye, everybody.
And finally, a word from Ted Donaldson.
So long.
That was the word. Well, that just about does it, neighbors. I'm heading north to see a man about some fish, and I'll be driving carefully all the way. Oh, just one more thing before I go. If you take any trips this summer, leave early enough so you won't have to drive in a hurry. Then we'll all be around when it's time to get together again in the fall. That's the ticket. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Remember, Father Knows Best, starring Robert Young as Jim Anderson, with Roy Bargy and the Maxwell House Orchestra, will return to the air over these same NBC stations on Thursday, September 6th. Our broadcast time will be 1/2 hour earlier, and your local newspapers will remind you of date, time, and station. So until September 6th, this is Bill Foreman saying good night and good luck from the makers of Maxwell House, America's favorite brand of coffee. Always good to the last drop. Father Knows Best is transcribed in Hollywood and written by Ed James.
Father Knows Best was on radio for 5 years, on television for 6, and still airs to this date on Antenna TV. You can find them at 9 a.m. Eastern Time weekdays, Saturdays at 7 p.m., and Sunday mornings early at 3 a.m. And, of course, check with your local stations to see who's the Antenna TV affiliate in your neck of the woods. Father Knows Best from 70 years ago today, July 5th, 1951. And my slippers are so comfortable, my MyPillow, my slippers. Get you a pair, and your feet will feel wonderful, or you'll get your money back. MyPillow.com, Radio Listener Square, use my promo code USA, or call 1-800-951-8175. Visit my webpage, classicradio.stream, where you can stream our programs on demand, learn more about classic radio collecting, and contact me. Classicradio.stream. Don't forget our programs are available anywhere podcasts are served by searching USA Classic Radio Theater. I'm Wyatt Cox. Thanks for tuning in. Thank this radio station and support their advertisers. And as always, tell all your friends the great radio shows are right here at this spot on the dial. Classic Radio Theater on your favorite station and the USA Radio Network.